Hi, I'm Janice Trusky. In this session, I'm going to be showing you how to begin a drawing and some of the materials that I'll be working with. So let's get started. Now I'm going to be drawing a skull, and the angle that you see in the top left corner is slightly different than what I'm going to be drawing from. So keep that in mind as I go. Now, there's pencils that I'm using, and there's hard pencils and soft pencils, and I'm using an HB. The harder the pencil, and this is an HB so it's hard, anything with an H on it, the harder the pencil, the lighter it will look on the paper. And we have two Bs and a 5B here, I think we can see there. Now the higher number in the B section, the darker it's going to be, and the lower number in the B section, the less dark it's going to be. So a 5B is going to be darker than a 2B, and a 2B is going to be darker than an HB. There's a whole series of pencils, and I can go over materials in another demonstration. And I'll be using a kneaded eraser. They're self-cleaning, doesn't make crumbs, and there's also just a regular plastic eraser that I can use. Now when I start beginning to when I begin a drawing, I want to see where I want to place it on the page. And I also want to kind of measure out the object itself. So as I'm drawing, I'm going to be comparing areas against other areas and sizes of this eye socket in comparison to the nose and things like that. You also want to take into consideration where on the page you want it to be, and you want to have a basic understanding of where the ground is going to be. In this case, that's going to be the tabletop, and where the background is going to be, and where that dividing line is, which I refer to as the horizon line. All right, and one thing to keep in mind so you don't get intimidated when you see complicated things to draw is you want to simplify everything. You want to draw simple shapes, and then as you solidify them, then you can go into the more complicated areas. All right, so when I start out, I like to start out with a hard pencil because it's nice and light, and I like to start out light and loose when I draw. So basically, I'm going to say maybe the top is going to be around here, the bottom is going to be around here, and then the middle section, I think it's probably around the eye socket, like right around there. All right, now I can divide the areas in half, and I can see what's where a little bit better. And I'm going to start light and loose. So I want to kind of get a general idea of where some of these shapes are. So I have like a basic oval here. And then I have a more angular shape coming down this way. All right, so that kind of goes across there. And then maybe the tip of the chin is here. And, you know, I'm estimating. And once I get that general shape in, then I can start kind of going in a little bit more detail of what I think might be where. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just getting a basic understanding. Let's see. And sometimes we do ghost drawings where we kind of estimate where we want something to be without actually drawing. It just helps us measure it out. Maybe that jawline kind of comes in here. Light and loose. You don't want to go heavy into detail right away. You're just trying to get the basic shape. Once you get the basic shape of stuff, then you can kind of And I'm trying to understand the direction of the face here, so I'm kind of going up and down in that angular way. Just want to get some of the main objects in first. And I know I'm drawing one object, but there's several different features inside of this object, which I'm referring to. I'm just trying to get in that nose there. And when I shade, I don't want to shade in overly dark right away. Just in case the shading's in a wrong location, you can erase it better. So you can build up your shades gradually. Let's say it's like the front of the skull might be there, and there might be a little cast shadow coming out, indentation on the skull. And then you got this little hook area where the metal clasp is. And maybe you can kind of see some of these like little wiggly lines, marks on the skull there. And I'm going quick. This is just a basic quick drawing. And just kind of trying to establish where some of my shadows might be. I could build those up at a later date. And now I want to try to conquer these teeth. I'm not going to go for every single tooth. I can always do that at a later time. Right now, it's just the beginning stage of the drawing. I'm just loosely kind of sketching in where I think they might belong. Let's see what's there. And I'm just going to draw like a little wiggly line. Now, like I talked about in the beginning about ground and getting a foundation of where the horizon line might be. All right, that might be the top of the table, that green tabletop or stage, we can call it. And that will let you know where the background is. And also you can kind of, you know, pop in some of the shadows that are there. Now remember, when you draw, some shadowed areas are going to be darker than other shadow areas inside of the same shadow. Okay. And kind of now you can start bouncing around a little bit more now that you have an understanding of what's where. This is a very light, loose gestural sketch. There might be like a little darker shadow underneath here, underneath that chin area. We'll go into more details and more refined drawings as we progress. This is just to get you started. All right, and here we have it. Basic beginning of a skull here. And you can kind of jump back, and you can start tweaking some areas, get rid of your original guidelines that got you started. And I'm just jumping in with a 2B here. All right. Maybe a soft shadow above the eye there. I can nitpick at this all day. Okay. And there you go. Just the beginning stages of how to go about making a drawing. Hope that helps, and I will talk to you later.